Good evening, everyone. One more time. We're starting in a minute or so. I hope that this time we're gonna have less issues. Like, this is like the third try today that I'm trying to stream, but I think I figured out now what the problem was. So for now, I'm confident that this is going to work. So, hey, so seems that a few people came back. I'm very sorry that we had to interrupt the first stream, then we tried another one. Now the third try to do this for today. The plan was, and still is, to do some Q&A chat like in the beginning, so everyone who wants can ask questions. We're gonna chat a little bit about any topic that you want related to 3D printing, the printers that you have, the problems that you have, or questions that you have. And then in the meanwhile, I'm gonna show you a few things that I wanted to do today. For example, last time when we streamed was also on Monday evening. I printed this little maker coin. So basically it's just a flat coin where my logo is on, and the idea was last time that I would try to multicolor print on the BAMBU Lab. The Kickstarter is over now. It was successfully funded. I hope that everyone's gonna get their printers. As with every Kickstarter, there's a risk, but I hope that everyone's gonna get their stuff on time as they promised. So last time we printed this little maker coin here, and today the plan was that I'm gonna make this a little nicer, so more looking like a real coin, with a little bit of a border here. Also want to put a QR code on the back, because some of you suggested last time that it would be cool to have a QR code on the back of the maker coin to be able to scan it and then point it to an internet page or the YouTube channel, whatever. And on the front side, I also want to put the 60K edition text, because we're very much there with 60,000 subscribers on the YouTube channel. So I'm gonna make a few of these coins, give them away to the subscribers of this channel, just as a little reminder to get subscribed to the channel if you aren't yet. So I prepared this little maker coin. I'm gonna show it to you in a second. So how many people are there already? Just let me know if you're there in the chat. I see there's 11 people watching. Just let me know in the chat where you're coming from, and why you joined this stream, what your questions might be. I'm happy to chat with you. That's why we're here today. I see that HVAC A2Z is already there. He's or whoever you are. And yeah, let me know where you're coming from, everyone. R3D is coming from Denmark. Hello there. It's not so far from here. Iron Galactus from Virginia, USA. It's probably... How late is it in Virginia? Michigan. BWS Electronic, hanging out Southwest Michigan, USA. So, Washington. Oh, 4 p.m. Okay. That is a nice time. It's good that you have time to watch a live stream now. Monday evening, 4 p.m. Here it's actually pretty late already. My intention was to start an hour earlier, so here it is 10 p.m. in Germany. We are located a little bit to the east of Augsburg, which is in the southern Bavarian in Germany. So if that tells you anything, so Bavaria and Germany maybe, and then to the very south. Munich is not far from here. Yeah, so I'm greeting you from basically from the Oktoberfest area of Germany. Actually, Oktoberfest we are already planning for that. So it's like everyone's already making a schedule for Oktoberfest, and this time it's going to take place again. Like, I think we had 2 years of interruption with the Oktoberfest, and now it's coming back to Munich. So I think pretty much everyone is super excited to go, although COVID is not yet gone completely. But yeah, I think people want to celebrate. Pierre is coming from Montreal. Bonjour, my friend. BWS Electronic. He's sick. Sorry for that. I hope you're getting well soon. And you're bored. Like I guess like everyone who's at home sick is happy to have some conversation with people out from the outside. Iron, you've lived an hour south of Frankfurt. Like, Frankfurt is nice. I've been there a few times. So I think basically there's many nice places in Germany actually. So it's really good to visit all the places. Actually, I never visited all I didn't yet visit all of the German cities. We're trying to do this now. And trying to visit as many cities as possible, and enjoying the local specialities like local food and special festivals that there might be. And yeah, this is pretty nice. So yeah, just continue letting me know where you're from. In the meanwhile, I want to show you something that I prepared for today's stream, because as I told you last time, we had we constructed some makercoin. So this is the coin that we created last time in the stream, and it is pretty simple. It's not really looking like a coin. So I will not do this live today because I did a few things, but I want to show you what I created. So the first iteration to make it a little more looking like a coin is this one. So I just added this border here, this edge that makes it look like a coin just a bit more. And then also on the bottom I added also a little fillet, so it's a little bit rounded. And finally, some of you suggested last time, why aren't we adding a QR code to the bottom of the coin? That's what I did here. It's a little bit hard to tell how this is going to look when it's printed, so I'll just let you see this. So if we disable everything, this is the QR code. It's basically just pointing to a website. Can be changed to anything, but the thing is that I have installed a little QR code generator to Fusion, which is a freeware tool. It's an open source add-in, and with the QR coder you can just create a three-dimensional QR code, and then you later in the print, the idea is that I will have this printed in a different color than the actual coin base. And so I hope that it's like the resolution of the printer will make it possible to scan this, or it's going to be fine enough so I can scan it with a smartphone later. So that's essentially the most important changes I made to the coin. And then the final version that I'd like to try today is a 4-color version. Or like the QR code version is already a 4-color print. So this is white, we have the orange and the red for the logo, and then we have black or something dark on the back for the QR code. And version 3 is essentially the same one, but it contains the 60K edition text, which is also going to be in the dark color or like black or something. That's going to be a special version for the 60,000 subscriber celebration of the channel. Actually pretty amazing that we already have like 60,000 subscribers on such a niche channel. We're just enjoying. I enjoy the community. I started live streaming a while back, and then I didn't keep up doing the live streams. But actually I saw that the engagement in the live stream was actually really nice. So a lot of people came, joined the chat. We had some nice conversations, some nice Q&A. And yeah, maybe let me know if you like this format. So I was actually thinking about making this a recurring thing, so that we have a live stream like every week or maybe every other week on Monday evening, and on Friday, if there's a video that is produced, that would be the Friday's video. I'm currently a little bit relaxed on my schedule because I have so many things to do. I'm trying to build a little bit of a business, and that consumes so much time that it's currently very hard for me to edit videos and like really do content production. So that's why I think the live stream format is currently something that I really can accommodate without having to invest crazy amounts of time, besides actually trying to build a 3D printing business. And yeah, so maybe at some point in the near future I will be able to do more video editing, or have Rasmus do more video editing for me. But it's currently for my personal schedule super hard to create highly polished content that is educational and it's really high value. So I think that the kind of conversations that we have here today is easier for me at the moment. So I still want to show up every week to you to just let you know, hey, I'm here. I want to talk to you. I want to also talk about your questions. I also want to collect some ideas, honestly, because we're doing this like, I mean, how many years? I think I've done this channel for 4 years now, and yeah, I think the topics that I'm thinking about are different now than 4 years ago. So the community has changed, and I probably have changed. My personal preferences have changed. The things that I'm using have changed so much. So Luca, thanks for mentioning that. I saved your ANIT A8, but honestly, I mean, looking at back at these videos, I was just recently looking back at some of the older videos on the channel, and although I appreciate that you like them and that you have had some success, it's super awesome. But I personally haven't used the ANIT A8 for a while now, and I'm actually not planning to come back to that very, very soon, because I have, as you probably have noticed, I have started to do print on demand for a few people. For one company specifically, I have a larger batch running now for this computer case, which I showed you in another video. And last time we were also talking about it. And the thing is that my focus has changed now from like super crazy upgrades and tinkering a little bit towards what is the best setup for me to actually make some money with 3D printing? Like, what is a good, reliable printer? And not so much about what is the coolest and latest and greatest. It's more like, what is the most reliable setup that can continue printing for several days in a row without having any issues, versus what's the craziest, fastest, fanciest device on the market? And should I test this? Like, I'm rather currently a little bit stepping back and say I'm not gonna test the latest and greatest. I'm more like I'm figuring out how to use the technology in general in a way that makes sense for me and creates value instead of being super nerdy and geeky as I probably had been. I hope you're still like here to follow me on that road, because I think it's also like probably from some people are asking themselves like, now I have this 3D printer, how can I make a little bit money with that? And I think I'm currently trying to figure that out, and I'm gonna answer this very soon for what happened to me, what happened to the business, and then maybe sharing a little bit more in that direction with you. So, yeah, but still, I mean, there's so many things that I want to do, but I have to focus. So, there's a few questions here I want to take up. How do I like the printer? If it gets noisy, by the way, that's because I have the window open and the train is coming. Like our new office is a little bit next to the train and to the rails, and it's if you have the windows open, it's a little bit louder. So, how do I like the BAMBU Lab? I think so far I like it. I didn't print tons of hours yet on this printer. I did some tests, and so far I like it because it's like compared just like relatively easy to other printers that I've been using. So if you're starting with this printer and you are pretty unexperienced, I would say it's an easy to start device. Seems to be that like getting started running some prints isn't a big problem. So if you ordered this thing, then I think you can start in the first few minutes. When you've unpacked it, it's probably already ready to go. And then like it has a little bit. I think the biggest advantage of this printer seems to be that the calibration is pretty much automated. So what everyone is like, I remember like lately looking into a Facebook group, and like people were asking some questions like, and the standard answer to it's a running gag. Okay, it's a running gag, but it's like so many people answer like, "Did you level your bed?" And I mean, we all know that it's kind of a valuable question, or it's a valid question to ask someone who's like having an Ender printer, even you have BL Touch and bed leveling probes installed. Still, leveling the bed is actually a thing. Like it's not just a joke. Like it's really a thing. Like people have to do that, and yeah. So this is something you don't have to consider. Like you don't think about that with this printer. That's nice. That's good, actually. It's one less question to answer. So yeah. So I like it so far. I'm also using the mobile app now. There was just an update today to the mobile app. I didn't figure out yet what the changes were, but there was a few weird things going on with the app. But it's now like it can show you like it has improved. So it is like if you can see this here, you basically have now the possibility if it works. Like sometimes it's failing. But you can see like the inside of the printer, right? So the chamber, you can see the progress of your current print. You can see temperature stuff, and then like how much filament is left on the spools. So there's a few nice things that have just showed up here. There seems to be a function that is, I don't know yet what that means, sharing the printer. So I'm going to look into that. I think it's like you connect the printer to your BAMBU Lab account, and then you are, like it's linked to your account. So I can print to this printer. I can send stuff to this printer to print. But I can probably also, like the function is suggesting that I can share it with someone. So I can have someone else use my printer if I want to allow this. How much filament is lost at each color change? That is something that I was showing this. We were talking about this last time, so let me quickly check where I have it. So this is the collected garbage from my last few prints. I think this is the this is the filament change. Yeah, how is it, like noodles, spaghetti, and each of these filament rests is a filament color change, and it's, I don't know how much that is, and it's probably I don't know, 30 centimeters, maybe. Yeah. But the thing is that you can control the amount of this in the software. So you can say, I want this to be less. I want it to be more, and I can show it to you. We were talking about it last time. I think it's pretty nice because it's pretty flexible how you can control the amount of filament change extrusion. And there's also the wiping tower on top. Like the wiping tower, I was talking to BAMBU Lab in the meanwhile. We had a little bit of a chat back and forth, and then I wanted to know, like, why is there like a wiping tower? I get it, because a wiping tower is something that other printers or like other printer software also introduces. So, but why is there a wiping tower, and why is there this filament? Coming out of the nozzle? Like, why are you purging filament on top? And so the answer is that the purging of the filament is actually to make sure that in the nozzle there is no filament left of the previous color. And the wiping tower is actually to wipe rest of filament off the nozzle, like from the outside of the nozzle. Like, usually if you print, the nozzle is moving and then some of the filament is piling up on the side of the nozzle, like just to the side of the tip, just very little, but it's just a tiny bit. It's just next to the tip, or moving a little bit upwards, like over the longer periods. And when you print longer with one color, there could be a little bit of a blob of filament like around the nozzle tip, and that's what the wiping tower is supposed to remove. So there's like two things that, like, they want to make sure that nothing is left, and that's why you have two different things that happen, like the purging and the wiping tower. So you can control the amount for both. Like, you have this app here, which is the BAMBU Studio, and when you do the multicolor printing, you have two settings that control the amount of waste that you're producing. So let me just check out where the first one gets support others. So there is the prime tower, or wiping tower, how I call it, and you can enable and disable that. That makes like you can obviously disable that if you say, hey, I'm not so much concerned about the rest of filament that's on the nozzle. If we have anyways quite a lot of purging going on. So if you say purging is enough for me, then you probably can turn off the wiping tower or the prime tower, and you can maybe make it just a little bit smaller. And the other thing that you can control, let me see where this is the flushing volumes. That's how they call it. And the interesting part is if you have multiple colors. So let's say we have 3 colors like we had in the last test, like we have orange, white, and red. There is a matrix of settings, and you can read it like this. So you say, if the color changes from red to white, that might require more purging, because red is a darker color than white, to clean it then from going from white to red, which is like this here. Yeah, so just read it from to. So if I'm changing from white to red, I probably might need just 50, because like white is easily replaced by red, but red is harder to replace by white. Or if it's black and white, it's maybe more extreme, that you have a very dark color and a very light color, and then you can adapt the settings to waste a little bit less filament. So the defaults, I think, is pretty high. Last time I used half the values for everything, like 140 for everything. It was still super nice. So it wasn't an issue at all. So you can tune this down to the very least. But for every different color, it probably makes sense to think about like does it really has to be the same for everything, or can you just maybe you can just even skip it for some of the combinations? So that's what you can set. So this was like default settings, Benchy print. This is very extreme, right? So it's, look at this, like this is the priming tower for the Benchy. This is the Benchy. This is quite extreme. So, Luca, yeah, as you said, times have changed now. Everything is plug and play, but thanks to the ANET 8 and all its problems, we have learned to solve any situation. Absolutely right. And I think the amount of problems you were gonna run into with this printer is probably you will have less issues. That's my guess. Yeah, I have no proof to that yet. But Uncle Jesse made a video. If anyone saw it, probably a few of you saw this. He made a video and he also said, okay, that there is still like even though it is a very hassle-free printer, but it's not completely free of maintenance. So you still have to know a few things. You still have to know how to maintain, and that's why my take on this whole like situation currently, no matter what printer we're looking at, is that 3D printing today is for everyone, right? So 3D printing is for everyone, but not 3D printers. So 3D printers aren't for everyone. 3D printing is for everyone. So you can easily use 3D printing, but the 3D printer is probably something that maybe it's better to have someone else run it for you, because that's the last final step. To be honest, if we look at the design process of anything like let's say the makercoin, or the I don't know the computer case project, right? So you see there's like this is like the iterations that I took of this project, like 10 versions now, dozens of test sprints. I don't think 10 kilograms of material went into this just for the prototyping. This process took me, a multitude of times than printing something, like just actually printing it, right? So it's like, that's why I say like 3D printing is probably for like probably most of you, most of the people out there. If you go on Thingiverse and you like something, or we are, for example, we are a very big board game fans. We like board games a lot. We are for some of the games out there. For some of the more complex board games, there is inlays. So 3D printed inlays and 3D printed material that's replacing the cardboard material. I have a few friends who are also super into board gaming, and they just ordered these inlays from me. So there is no necessity for it's not necessary for them to buy a 3D printer for that. Although I know one person now who is like so much interested in that he bought a 3D printer, but he is always trying to get consulting from me how to use it and stuff. Like, so that's why I say like 3D printing is for everyone nowadays, but not 3D printers. And that's like, there's always going to be maintenance required, spare parts, cleaning. If you print thousands of hours, there's going to be broken things on these. This printer is going to break. At some point, this printer is going to break. There's going to be some spare parts that you need. And I have no idea how they're going to do this. I talked to BAMBU Lab last week, to the marketing team, not to the actual support guys, but marketing team, and asked them like, hey, what about your plans to have maintenance centers somewhere? And it seems that at least for the maintenance, they have plans to have it in Europe and the US, but they are still not settled. Like, they don't have, for example, they don't have a reseller in Germany or something, or in Europe, or they. I think this has to be done. If you look at Prusa, they already have dozens of partners, so I think this is something that they have to build up over the time. Okay, yeah. Basically, we all want content on the X1 Carbon. I think it's fine you give us a detailed review. Absolutely. I will, like, when I've done all of my things, I probably the approach this time is a little bit different because I haven't had the time yet to do a review, honestly. So what I'm trying now is I will try to print the makercoin. Just want to make sure that I have my mobile... that now my mobile microphone is finally charged and working, because when we tried this just an hour ago, it wasn't charged. So let's give this a try. So seems to be working. That's a different microphone now, because I want to have a little bit of more freedom to move. What I'm trying now, or what I'm going to do now, and you will see, I think if you didn't see this yet, I will load a spool number 4 into the AMS, which is the multicolor system. So let's see. Not sure why my third camera is switched off. Let's see. Is it working? Probably not working. Let's see. Just give me a second. Doesn't want to. Okay, so the idea is that the AMS, it has these 4 places where you place the spool, 4 cavities. And there is also rollers here inside, so I can't show you this yet, but it's like essentially the spools can easily move here. And loading the filament is pretty easy. You just put the spool in, and then it can turn freely. Oh, another train coming by. Yeah, pretty loud probably. But the thing is that I have to open the windows. It's just too hot in here. So the ideas of this AMS is that's what surprised me. How easy it is. You just take the filament and then just put it in the opening here for the motor, and then it starts loading the filament in. It's completely automated. Let's give it one more try with the third one. Okay, color number 4 seems to be loaded. Camera number 3 is still not working. I see, technical problems aren't really resolved today. It's really crazy. No, it's working. Okay, now it's working. Good, so see, there is 4 colors loaded now. And the thing to do is just inserting the filament here, and it's just loading it in automatically. So we have the purple now, red, white, orange. Last thing to do here, after loading the filament, is to set, if it's a third-party filament, like this is Prusament, these are original spools from BAMBU Lab. They have a RFID chip here, and the RFID chip is recognized by the printer, so they know what filament is in. This is a dust filament, and this is Prusament. And so for the spool color, you have to essentially just tell the printer what
colors you have and what materials. So here you can see it's currently it's, let me turn the brightness down. So these are auto-detected and this one is manually set. So the PLA, and number 4 is now purple. This should be accurate. Manufacturer, they only have these default manufacturers. I'm going to pick generic PLA. And that's it. And now a printer knows which color is in which of the slots. Like essentially it's just about the materials because the colors don't really matter yet. What is a little bit unfortunate is that, not yet at least, there is no synchronization between the printer colors and the BAMBU software. So if I go back into the BAMBU Studio now, currently there's no way to synchronize what I've just set on the printer. I have to actually know which one is which. So first one is orange, white, red, and the 4th color is purple, something here. Yeah, something like that. So that's the only thing that I'm missing. I gave that feedback already. I think that would be nice and probably not too hard to actually synchronize these filaments back to the software. But anyways, it works this way that you know, okay, this is the spool slot number 1, 2, 3, 4 from left to right. So you have the colors later to pick. Probably setting generic. I don't know if there's really a difference here. Generic, BAMBU, PLA basic, generic PLA. So this is how it looks like in the software now if we have 4 colors loaded. Next step will be that we are preparing the print of the makercoin. But let's have a look at your questions. Basically, did you try turning off the prime tower? Not yet. We can try to turn it off now for the first iteration of the makercoin print, or it's actually the second one since we printed one last time. But let's try to turn off the prime tower. That's absolutely worth a try, and then we'll also reduce the amount of purging. So there's not as much wasted filament, hopefully, as in my first Benchy test. Esther Huguenet has a few questions. What are your testing procedures? And B, when finished testing, do you have to send it back? Yeah, full disclosure here. My testing procedures are, I have an official review policy, right? And that's basically from Thomas Sandadra. He has a channel, if you know it, probably yes. He has created a review policy a few years back, and a few people have already taken that, adapted that to their own needs, and I also did the same. So many thanks back to Thomas for creating this as an initial document to work. Like the document is actually mostly pointed towards the manufacturers to make sure, okay, everyone is on the same page when they send something, that there is a kind of a policy document that states, okay, we're gonna do this, that many hours, we're not going to do this and that's all in the document, and that's on my website. And so in that doc, I say, okay, like I'm printing between 100 and 200 hours on a device if I review it. So I'm not like doing just looking at the device and saying, hey, it's cool, I just printed 2 benches and that's fine. No, it's more like I'm aiming towards 200 hours of printing on the printer. That doesn't mean that there's like X amount of filament or X different filament. It's just about like how many hours is the printer supposed to run. Because after 200 hours, there's a pretty high chance that some problems will happen. Oh my goodness, we have some spammer. Okay, chat. Okay. I'm wondering, how is it possible that spammers are still able to spam even though it's just for subscribers? But maybe they have bots that can do this. Good. The thing is that 200 hours should be suitable for a lot of devices to figure out if there's any major issues, I'd say. Like problems that will happen after thousands of hours we can't see, like obviously we can't see. But there is a procedure that's documented. And B, when finishing testing, do you have to send it back? No, I don't have to send it back. So they sent it to me and said, hey, do you want to test it? And that's the usual thing that happens to all of the YouTubers out there, me included, and full disclosure here. Companies contact us as like any YouTubers that do reviews. Works all the same. These companies contact me and say, hey, we have this new device. It's going to come out then at a specific date. Do you want to have one to test it? And they don't want it back. Usually they don't want it back. Maybe if it's super expensive, probably then maybe. What's going on here with the spammers? Okay, just another one blocked. Why is it happening that bots can spam the channel? Okay, let's not get distracted. I'm just not going to make sure that this is moderated out. So yeah, that's how it works, right? So, and I get a lot of these emails. Honestly, I'm getting so many emails from companies that want to send me something that most of the time I say no, because it's like it doesn't fit in the channel. It's like completely unrelated stuff. And it's like, it's so often I can tell you how many companies are still trying to build clones of Ender printers and trying to sell it as something super great and new and awesome. It's hilarious, actually. Like, I look at, most of the time I look at these emails and say, yeah, what's new? What's different? And then honestly, when BAMBU Lab contacted me about this printer, I was about to delete the message. Then I was like, okay, yeah, maybe let's give them a chance. Like, okay, tell me what's actually new about this printer. And then they like get me the spec sheet and some videos of the printer printing. And I was like, okay, this might be a little bit different than the usual stuff that gets sent to me. So that's why I agreed in the first place, right? And not every YouTuber out there agreed. Like, there's few bigger channels that didn't want this, obviously. I can just imagine that they did not want the printer because they probably got contacted, or it was in their spam folder and then it was too late. But anyways, I don't know. Have you heard anyone who has received a shipping notice? No, I didn't. Tell me if anyone in the chat has already received anything from BAMBU Lab regarding their printer on Kickstarter in terms of shipment. I didn't. So I don't know anyone, but that's why we're here. Maybe just get it, post it in the chat. Michael from Teaching Tech, and yeah, that's right. And he's a pretty big channel, right? And there is a few bigger ones that made reviews, but there's also a few bigger ones that didn't. So I think it's like sometimes it just doesn't fit. And you know, yeah, like in the meanwhile, I think how many print reviews I made, but it wasn't so many. There was so many new printers and I didn't make any review on that. Okay. Good. How long time did it how long did it take to print the multicolor Benji? This was printed in 4 hours and I think 17 minutes or 18 minutes. So round about 4 hours plus a few minutes. And like, I think we can do it faster. I will like, because I didn't touch any of the settings, like this pile of waste and junk is, I would say probably 50% of the print time, if not more. Because the color change takes a few seconds, and yeah, it does change the color quite often. As you can see, like this pile here is pretty large for this little print. There's lots of color changes. So I'd say 4 hours is probably not a very good time for this, and it's probably not very representative of the optimal settings that could be, right? So I'll do more testing. That's why I say I'm not doing. That's why I didn't do a review yet. First of all, I received the printer, then I didn't have the time to do it immediately. Then I was on a vacation for 2 weeks, so I'm not rushing it. To be honest, I don't have to, and it's totally fine for me to test it over the longer periods. Good. HVAC. I swore that I would never back another Kickstarter project. After all reviews and some looking into the company, I did back it. I hope to see an X1 carbon soon. Yeah. Sometimes we have to take risks. I don't want to discourage you from doing, like, it's just, like, it's always, I had Kickstarters fail on me, honestly, and I lost some money, but yeah, I mean, it is something that you have to have in your mind. That it's absolutely, it can fail. It can fail. Okay, let's prepare the print. Let's continue in the plan because I want to get it finished, or at least I want to see the result. So this is my makercoin. And last time I tried to export it as a 3MF file. It doesn't work. So I was hoping that it would recognize different bodies, but it's not. So I have to do it this way. I have to. I will start with the base part. And if you just look at the base element has a, like, that's what I didn't tell you yet. So I engraved the QR code, of course, into the base. And then the QR code is going to fill it, right? So the engraving is to leave place for the other color. That has to be done. So I'm going to export every single piece individually, and then we are going to load it into the software to get it printed. And you will see it's going to be very easy. So we're going to, like, say, save it as a mesh 3MF file, high quality, and then save it here. And then we have logo part 1. And we have logo part 1, which we're going to save as a mesh. We have logo part 2. And I'm splitting these two logo parts because I want them to be different colors. So, okay, so this is logo 1, logo 2, Coinbase QR code is another piece. I think somehow one of the pieces didn't export. Why not? Now we're gonna check it out. Now we have the 60K edition, which is another, yeah, it's a group of parts, or it's essentially multiple pieces, which I'm gonna export as, I think I have to, yeah, I have to use a little bit of a trick here to export that because it's switching everything else off. Okay, 60K. 60K. So these are all the individual pieces. And how does it work in the software to load them? So we're going to clean the build plate first. Clean everything. I think it's, well, just delete that. So there is my, this, we don't need that. So we have all these pieces here. We can essentially just select everything and then open it. We have to change some, I want to discard this, yes. What? Did do something. Let's see. Are my pieces here? Seems that it didn't load everything yet. Let me see. I guess that that it's only loaded one part. I think there was an error. So I'm going to, what's happened? Oh, it loaded actually, but it didn't load everything correctly. So there was some kind of error. Maybe it doesn't work. Let's start with a few things first. Let's just start with the Coinbase. Open as project. Import geometry only, yes. Then I'm loading the logo 1. Logo 1 is too close to others. There will be collisions when printing. Which is strange, because last time I did this, it was successfully realizing that this is a multi-part print. So let me try to export it one more time as an STL. Maybe it's not able to understand what the 3MF versus I think last time we used STL and it worked just fine. So let's try again. Let's save it as STL. We have a logo. Save it as STL. The question is, what slicer is that? Yeah, that's. I think there's a discussion going on currently on Twitter about the BAMBU Lab slicer, which was derived from, I think, Prusa slicer. And there is a discussion going on currently whether this is going to be open sourced at some point. And honestly, I hope that they are going to open source the software when they are done, or when they are shipping the printers. I can't tell you if this is, like, there's no guarantee yet, or, I mean, since this is open source and I think it's originally GPL software, don't nail me on that, this should be open sourced. Why is it not offering me to export? The thing is, now, if we load at least the STL files, it should tell me that it's a multi-part print. Yeah, load these files as a single object with multiple parts. Yes. Yeah, that's what I wanted. So this is almost what I wanted. Just missing my little 60K edition. We can try to join them. What? Didn't work. Why did it not work? Because yeah, they're not overlapping. So I don't want to export all these pieces as individual files, but I can just export this as one file. So 60K STL. Let's try one more time. What happens if I load this after the fact now? Yes. Oh, no. Mistake. Don't want to scale it. No. Okay, it's very small. And since I now loaded it after the first ones, I'm probably just have to reload everything. So like the automated mechanism to group things, I think it's just working. Why? Okay, that didn't work. Why is my 60K edition so big? I don't want that. Okay, we have to figure that out. There's some scaling problem. Yes. Okay, let's try without the 60K. So this is the maker coin with the QR code. Now the next step to do in the process is to select the individual colors for the different parts. So every part needs a different color, obviously, and that's what I want to do next. So I'm switching from global to objects, and you can see there is a coin base as logo, 1, 2, and QR code, which is on the bottom. What the outside parts is, honestly, I don't know. Maybe I have something left from my previous prints and I didn't delete that stuff. Yeah. So we just should have all this here. So we want the coin base to be white. So I'm selecting that. Logo 1 should be red. Logo 2 should be orange, which is already selected. And then the QR code should be purple. I don't have black here today, so I'm going to use purple. So now you can see the colors coming up. And as you suggested, I'm going to switch off the prime tower. So we are going to waste less material. We're also reducing the flushing volumes now. I'd say last time I tried using 140 for everything was pretty much good. I hope that this is still working with purple. Yeah, but I'm confident that this is enough. And maybe you can reduce it even more, but we're gonna run with these lower values today. And that's how it should come out in the end. Why this is colored differently, honestly, I have no idea. I hope this is still working. Why is it showing it in a darker color? Is completely mystery to me, but yeah, maybe there's a problem with the model. Let's just try it out. I mean, these QR codes have a little bit of an error correction function, so if something is not readable, it's probably still working. Some of the bits are unrecognizable. So let's see if this is finally readable with a smartphone. Last step here to check, okay, we want to have layer height 0.2 is fine. Resolution, I'm not changing anything, no ironing, we don't need that. 2 wall loops, 15% infill, it's all default. And these are the default speeds, just to let you know. We are using default settings of the printer, and there is presets which are basically just the layer heights. Print speed is essentially the between like 200 and 300 millimeter per second, and the accelerations like for normal printing is like 10,000 millimeter, and first layer is 500. So these are all default settings for this kind of printer, for this specific printer. So we can just go with that. We don't need supports, and these are the settings that we already visited. I guess we can now slice it, telling us that the print is going to take about 14 minutes and 7 minutes for the preparation. There is some settings that are going to be about what is going to be done in terms of calibration. Since the printer has been calibrated now multiple times, I'm going to skip bed leveling and all this calibration stuff, because that is going to take even more time. So if you do the calibration at the beginning every single time, we're probably going to take 2 to 3 additional minutes. I don't want that. So I'm just gonna send the print over, and hopefully in 21 minutes we have something coming out of the printer. Sending it now. And while we are waiting, we can also check out the monitoring section of the app. So this is the Windows application. You see, okay, it's starting now. We could probably see the inner part of the printer, so the chamber. Here we go. So that's the camera view. Here you see all the temperatures. That seems to be working fine. So, and I guess the printer is now preparing its print. We can monitor it a little bit with the camera if you want. We can have a look at the chamber. It's a bit dark, so I'm trying to get a light here so you can have a little bit more. So it's still pretty dark in there, honestly. So let's turn it up. I mean, for a camera, it's always a little bit different than looking at it with your eyes. That's mostly easier, but the camera requires a lot more light to show it. So currently, printer is purging and loading the first color. Yeah, and we're essentially waiting for the print to start. Yeah, so filament just was purged. So there was one filament color change now, which just happened. And this little piece here at the inner part of the printer, this little black lever, that's actually where the nozzle is cleaning the tip after the purging. Right? It's running over that multiple times to clean the nozzle tip. Things that are always happening in the print is a little bit of a vibration calibration, which is always done. There's also, I think, a basic bed leveling is happening, at least in the center. You can't switch that off. And then they do an initial extrusion in the front, and then usually the print should start in a second. Yeah, that was the first extrusion line, just to get started. Printer is now making a picture of that, just to check that the extrusion is working. So there's a little camera here in the print head, and there is sometimes you see a blue light. That's the camera light that checks. Okay, everything is working now, and now it should start printing. I hope that my QR code is coming out correctly, because that's going to be the most complicated part. That is the finest detail, actually, it's in the first layer. Yeah, that looks fine. I mean, from here, for you it's probably hard to tell, but it's laying down this first layer with the QR code, the white part, so the coin base, and then it has to fill in those gaps with the second color. And I'm really curious how much detail it's going to retain of this QR code. There's going to be lots of retractions, very small dots actually that needs to print there. It's probably a very nice test for the multicolor and the color swapping. Currently, because you're asking about the noise level, first layer is always still very conservative in terms of the speed, and it's not very loud in the first layer because it's going slow. I mean, slow, relatively slow. It is going as fast as you would probably print on an Ender printer at every other layer, then except the first layer. So it's like default speed of any other printer is doing it for the first layer, and then it's going to speed up dramatically in the second layer. You will see this in a second when it has done the second color. Slicing, question is, does it give you an approximate print time? We can, it's now changing colors, so here we go, purging happening now. Let me show this to you if I'm quick enough. So it just retracted the white color, now it's pushing in the purple. So that was like just the spool winding, and now it's purging it. So I guess we're gonna see some purple filament very soon. So, hard to tell currently. I can see that there is some purple being filled into the gaps. I decided to make this QR code 2 layers high, so it's 0.4 millimeters, 2 layers. I think this should be enough for a camera to read it, so it has enough contrast. After slicing, does it give an approximate print time? Approximate print time is given in the slicer software, yes. Let me show it to you one more time. So it's working the same way as Prusa Slicer. If you have the print, you can, and here it's already sliced. We can just change it, move it. So slicing, this looks like Prusa Slicer. You see, it tells you how much filament, and then it says preparation time 7 minutes, model printing time 14 minutes, total time 21 minutes. So that's what you get. Okay, printing has finished for the first layer, and it's now switching to it's switching back to white for the second layer. Yeah, that's going to take a few seconds, and it's going to continue with the next layer of white, and then it's going to switch back to purple to finish the QR code, and then I guess it's going to be continuing. Like last time, this was similarly in print speed and print time, and yeah, the amount of filament that's coming out here at the backside it's much less. I guess. we are not wasting a lot of material this time. So this is layer number 2, or this is layer number 3 actually. So the QR code is already done. And this is layer 4. So I guess we are already reaching the top layer of the white part, and then we are going to get the logos on. So I think we're gonna wait it. It's not taking much longer. I guess it's gonna be finished in a few minutes. So that's it about testing out the makercoin. The only thing that I didn't manage to get on is the 60K edition, but that's probably my fault because it's how I exported it. So I'm gonna fix that in a second. Hopefully I'm gonna be able to print the 60K logo correctly. I'm just wondering why it didn't work. Okay, so let me see. As the Hugenay says, yeah, it's faster than the eye. It's actually still. I mean, it's at least faster than the camera. The camera is hardly following it. Here we go. Okay, color change happening now. Quick question. Are you still supporting the firmware factory? Yes. I'm still supporting it. Although I didn't do a lot of changes recently, I will add the latest Marlin release soon. I'm gonna do some testing with the latest Marlin releases. Actually, there's 2 new Marlin releases now. So I will do some testing there. I was in contact with the Marlin creators and was thinking about integrating a bit more of the automation that Marlin is now providing in terms of configuration storage. So Marlin has a feature since, I don't know, a few releases that makes it possible to export the settings of a specific configuration. Like if you have a existing Marlin configuration, you can add a build flag that makes it possible to export this into JSON. Probably a few people know about that. And I was chatting with Scott Lethine about automating the build process in a way that the firmware factory would take a new Marlin version and then export all the configurations of all the default configurations into the JSON format to make it possible to import them back to change them. So I think like if that doesn't tell you anything, it's totally fine. But it's something that requires some testing. Another thing that I'm thinking about currently is making that whole thing open source, because I think it's some people offered support already. They offered help And I couldn't answer that yet because a few of the things are really scattered amongst different projects. I mixed up some things with other testing projects. So what I will do is I will clean up the code base a bit so that everything is that's related to the platform is in one place and not scattered over multiple projects that are containing also other code that has nothing to do with the Firmware Factory, or at least not with the core functions. So I think for me, making it open source will be the next big step. I'm not expecting any huge support from the community, but I still want to do it to, just to make it possible that people contribute if they want, or that they can just look into it and say, yeah, now I know how it's working. I still want to support Daniel on his journey. I'm not intending to code, or if you want to code and you can code, yeah, I'm happy to take contributions. But that's what I'm currently with it. So I'm having these two major things to do: code cleanup and getting everything into one place, and then supporting this configuration export function of Marlin that's currently very fresh, actually. So let's see how far we are. We have the first layer of the logo colors. I think that's what we saw last time already. The function of color change is actually pretty clever. It prints, like for example here the red, you can see it. I think it started to print in yellow, and then it started to print the red part of the logo, but it also printed two layers of the red first, and then changing back to orange. So it's not wasting so much time on color changing every single layer. It's trying to optimize the color change in a way that it prints the new color at least already starts with the second layer, so it's not wasting as much time. So of course there needs to be some color changes here. It's a little bit of a waiting game now. I mean, we don't have much purging going on. So this is all the purging that happened for this little coin yet. It's not very much. I think from just looking at the color change and how much is required, it confirms me that for some combinations and some color changes, we can actually shrink down the amount quite a lot. So this is, for example, this is a color change from white. Hope you can see it. Can I bring it closer? It's difficult. This is a color change from white to purple. So you see, it's definitely, and this is the other direction. This is from purple to white, and you see that even in the white part there is still a little bit of purple left. So that confirms that changing from purple to white requires more purging than from white to purple. So I would have to fine-tune that a bit if I did a larger print, just to make sure that if I don't want the priming tower, at least I'm aware that I have the settings correct. So I think the coin is done. Yes, looks nice. So let's take that out. So here you see, this is, hope you can see it. This is my QR code. Looks pretty clean actually, so we can take off these. I forgot to turn off these little brims here. So it's actually not required. But the thing is that it looks pretty clean. I'm gonna try out the, I think there is no web page. I think I'm linking to some page that actually doesn't exist on my homepage yet. But anyways, I will try to scan it now with my, what's going on, with my smartphone, just to see if it's working. This is the other side. And you see, since I completely removed the purging tower, there's a little bit of color here, especially this corner that I created for the coin. There is still just a tiny bit of red showing up here. I don't know if you can see this. Maybe now it's better for you to see. There's like this is just a tiny rest of reddish going on here. So it's not super clean. For a prototype, it's probably absolutely fine, right? So here on the back, you can also kind of imagine the white isn't perfectly white. It's a little bit purple, just a shiny bit of purple mixed into the white layer. That's probably because we didn't use the prime tower. But I mean, if I turn it on, then it's probably going to be much cleaner, but I didn't waste, I can now say I didn't waste any material, at least not as much as last time. So, let's try to scan this QR code. I'm curious if it works, because that's what I wanted. So, is Google, okay, I have to hold it. Well, you see, it's working. Copy. Here we go. So it's reading the QR code. So that seems to be working at least, right? So if I open it up now, it should point to my website, but the page doesn't exist yet. But doesn't matter. It works. That's fine. So the next iteration of the Crosslink makercoin successfully done. And for me, the next step is actually to, like, I will try this in black. I think I want to have it in black instead of purple. I didn't have black today. I forgot about it. So this was the only filament that I had. But yeah, I'm going to optimize a bit more the purging length to have reflected the different darknesses of the color, so the different requirements in that regard. And I will try a very small priming tower because this isn't like perfectly white. That's mainly that. I think that has partially to do with the purging length that I've set down, but it could also be that the priming tower is one of the reasons. And I will have to compare that with with a few settings. Then I'm going to make a few of these coins. So my idea is that I'm going to print a few dozens of these coins, and then I will like gradually give them away over, like when I meet people or if I'm on a trade fair or whatever, and also sending them out to my patrons or giving them to random people. So just to let them know that I'm doing 3D printing and what this whole channel is all about, stuff like that. So like a little bit of a just a card that you usually give out. The other idea was to create a real, just to give out a real card with my name on it, my address, so business card with all the details as an alternative version to this coin, probably for more serious reasons. And this is probably just for people who are interested in 3D printing, want to learn about it. So let me give you the close-up again. I hope it works with this camera. Probably a bit difficult. Yeah, so here you see. Turned out quite well, I would say. Let me know if you have any more questions, because it's getting pretty late now. I will probably end the stream in a few minutes. Just want to let you know that I finished the changes on my computer case project mostly. So I created a new I/O panel outlet. I will see if this works with the main board that's supposed to be going into it, because it's going to be one that has the traditional I/O panel. So we'll hopefully get an update, a video on this case, a few changes that I'm making to that case very soon. Maybe we're going to talk about that in the next streams. Okay. Yeah, I wish everyone a good night. I hope that you're going to get your printer soon. So I also will do more testing on this printer to have a real opportunity to do a review on this printer, all the ups and downs that I see. The thing is that from my point of view, I don't want to talk about other channels in that regard, but from what I've seen in terms of the software of this printer, there was a lot of changes in the last 2 weeks or so. Firmware updates, updates of the mobile app, and functionality that has been added that was missing. So I think that that's a reason why I also told the company that I'm not gonna make a real official review on this channel for this printer until it has kind of a final state. From the hardware perspective, this looks like there's no flaws. It doesn't look like there's anything handcrafted anymore on this device, but the software was absolutely not in a state where I would have considered making a review. And that's what I'm saying, yeah, I'm not saying anything about who makes a review when, but I say I'm going to make the review when this thing is software-wise in a state where it's worth making the review, probably in 2 weeks or so, 2-3 weeks. And there's changes coming to the software in that regard that I already know about. And that the thing is that it makes sense then to wait until it has reached a kind of a stable state from the software perspective. So yeah, that's how I'm approaching it, simply said. I have time. I don't have to rush this review. Okay. That's probably unfortunate for people who have backed it and didn't know yet, but the thing is that it is just not fair to make the review when it's not finished. Good. Let me just check out the stats for today, which I'm always interested to see. We had 37 peak viewers, not much this time, but probably the reason for that is the problems that we had at 9 o'clock, and then we restarted the whole thing at 10 o'clock. Probably that's one of the reasons why not many people were watching. Probably also because the Kickstarter is already over for this printer. But anyways, it was super fun to chat with you. Let me know if you like this format to continue, not specifically to this printer, but like in general, if you enjoyed it. If you want to have this kind of conversation on a kind of a weekly or bi-weekly basis, I'm super happy to do this, because for me it's super easy to do, because I don't have to create super crazy amounts of content in terms of editing stuff and like spending hours and hours and hours and hours of editing just to release a 5-minute content video, and it's not very interactive still. Here I can chat with you and I can have these conversations directly and chatting with you. For me, it's very enjoyable. So just let me know if you think the same way. I'm not saying that I'm not gonna make videos anymore, but I'm saying that I will try to continue this format as a recurring event more frequently than I did in the past, just to stay connected to you guys. And that's what I'm saying here. Okay. I'm gonna stop talking now, stop rambling, and I will leave you into the night, so to say. Thank you. Okay.